Hello, Coco. Okay. Trying to read my script here. Okay. Where did I leave off? Hello, Coco. Okay. So I use the LUTs in tandem. Hold on. Will you let me read this, Coco? Here's where the plot thickens. Oh, I can read it on the big jumbo screen. Okay. TV. Here's where the plot thickens. God, now here's where the plot thickens. Or the thought plickens, if you will. I loved the color grades I had. They were nice and contrasty with good colors, but I couldn't see my eyes. And you probably can't right now. So I went into GIMP, GNU Image Manipulation Program, and made some tweaks. Then I brought that back into Resolve, shot matched it, overlaid it, and I discovered that everything I was doing in my grade was baked into the image I sent to GIMP, rendering the whole LUT issue moot. Madness. I could turn off everything I was doing at timeline level, except for blur, and I re-enabled the CST DRT, the output to my display at Rec 709. I mean, actually it's sRGB, but for the purposes, I'm using the free version of Resolve, by the way, so I can't use DCTLs, even if I could afford them. Though I'd love to try Cullen's Genesis film emulation plugin, but I'm just not made of money. Then I had another scare that seemed to spell doom. My doom as an artist. I noticed that my two displays didn't match. Like, not just subtle differences between two different TVs. That's normal. I'm talking about my 720p TV / monitor looks slightly bluer and a lot brighter. After doing some calibrations on my 720, using my AVS 709 calibration disc, I was still getting a mismatch. After recorrecting for all this, I performed the Windows display calibration, which requires me to use only the monitor being calibrated. I bring the gamma pretty close to where it needs to be to match my 1080p TV. When I feel my work is done, I go back to duplicate these displays. Big mistake at the time. For some unknown reason, the PC lost signal to both displays. Oh. So my only course of action was to perform a hard shutdown and restart. Naturally, this brought me into recovery mode, which, the worst timing in human history. I was still on the Windows update that disabled USB keyboard and mouse in recovery mode.
One eternity later.
I was pissed, impatient, frustrated, scared. I once again thought I was a goner as an artist, and that the mosquito bite would be my last contribution to the arts. Hoping for some kind of secular miracle, and being dead tired, I left everything on and went to bed. I cracked awake a few short hours later and Windows was back somehow. I safely set everything back to duplicate these settings. Everything worked this time. When opening up LibreOffice Writer, I think that's how you pronounce it, to add this anecdote to the script for this very video you're watching right now, I noticed that my 720p was still too blue. Back to square one. So I simply went back to my RGB white balance. These are cheap Sanyo TVs, so they don't have color temperature presets. They don't have gamma or backlight, except for light sensor. But that's another story. And they certainly don't have filmmaker mode. There's literally only one setting I can set manually on either monitor, and it's called manual. Now on my Windows 10, I used PC mode on my 720 monitor, but along with VGA, that's been retired. I'm using HDMI now. Anyway, I go back to white balance, I dial it in by eye until blue is reduced enough to look as warm as the white on my 1080p TV. I think it looks about right now. Will that be all? Will that be all? Can I get back to my life? Has your livelihood as an artist ever been on the brink of extinction? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoy one man's harrowing quest to save his creative legacy, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell that tolls for the